Hello, this is the Right Here, Right Now podcast by Ross and Cromarty Citizens Advice Bureau. In this episode, we will talk about the Money Talk Team service from the Citizens Advice Scotland network and how it can support listeners with their money worries. I am joined today by Chris, who is involved in the Money Talk Team service. Welcome, and thank you very much for coming along.
Thanks for having me.
In the Citizens Advice Network, we understand that the cost of living crisis is affecting households of all income ranges across Scotland. Money is tight for many people right now, especially families with children, people with health issues, or older people. Everyone's situation is unique, but experience shows us that there are ways to improve people's finances to help with the increased cost of living. We hope this podcast can help listeners understand how to access the Money Talk team and get help with benefits, debts, and explore ways to maximise their income and reduce outgoings. So, Chris, firstly, can you tell me what is the Money Talk team service?
Yeah, certainly, Emily. So at the Money Talk team, we support our clients to better manage and improve their financial circumstances, to gain awareness of their rights and responsibilities, and as a result, improve their well-being. The service is delivered by all 59 Citizens Advice Bureau across Scotland, from Dumfries and Galloway in the south all the way up to the tip of Scotland to Caithness in the north.
That sounds great. So it covers the whole of Scotland. You spoke of better managing money, improving financial circumstances, and gaining awareness of rights. What does that mean in practice? What type of help can the Money Talk team offer?
That's a great question. The simple answer is that we help people deal with money issues. Our advisors can help you save money and maximize your income through advice on, for example, how to access benefits and grants, provide help to people struggling with debt issues, and look at where they can save money or reduce outgoings. In practice, what this basically means is we're helping with benefits at application stage, and whether you need support finding out what you may be entitled to, all the way through to challenging decisions you disagree with. Also, dealing with debts is a big one. It's a huge part of what the service provides. We can help from the initial assessment of your overall situation. So, looking at things like establishing how to handle your debts, looking at statutory debt remedies, helping with income and expenditure, and looking at all the options that someone may have in dealing with debts. Our advisors also can look into adjustments such as helping getting debt payments that are affordable for you, or for doing even simple things like applying for council tax reduction.
That sounds really helpful. Right now, I think everyone is looking for ways to save a bit of money as the cost of living crisis continues to deeply affect people. I assume that there are certain groups of people who are more at risk of experiencing poverty. Is this something that the Money Talk team service takes into account?
Yes, you're exactly right there. As we know, not everyone is affected in the same way. Everybody's situation is unique. The Money Talk team is funded by the Scottish Government as part of their plan to tackle child poverty. And as a result, the service is particularly targeted towards priority low-income family groups. So some examples of those would be single-parent families, families with an adult or child with a disability or a health condition, larger families, so that's families with 3 or more children, minority ethnic families, families with a child under 1 year old, and families where the mother is under 25-year-old. We also focus on delivering the service to other groups such as older people, individuals struggling with debt, those with health conditions, unemployed people, those with caring responsibilities, and young people between 16 and 24. Now, just because these are what the Scottish Government would like us to target on, that doesn't mean that we're limited to helping just those groups, and we will absolutely support anyone who needs help.
That's really interesting. I suppose especially people with health conditions or families with children or perhaps older people are really feeling the pressure. Are there any examples of the types of issues people might be experiencing that the Money Talk team can help to resolve?
Yes, absolutely. There's just so much, and we could sit here for several hours just discussing this topic. Usually, though, what I would say is that people aren't aware of all the different types of support they're entitled to. So I'd always recommend people ask for a benefit check. The common benefits we see people need extra help with, for example, would be the Scottish Child Payment, child benefit, disability related benefits. So, for example, in Scotland, adult disability payments are now in payment, which is what replaces PIP, universal credit, attendance allowance, council tax reductions. The benefit system is always changing, and it can be very difficult to know at any given time if you're getting everything you're entitled to. We can support not just with applying for benefits, but also with challenging decisions. So should you apply for something and are turned down, we can help to support and advise on how you go about challenging that decision to try and get the outcome you hoped you would get. The other thing as well is lots of people struggle with debt, and we see this daily. It can feel overwhelming when people are in debt, and it can affect people's mental health and well-being. There's a clear link between people with debt issues having more mental health problems and people with mental health issues struggling with debt. We often see people having issues with things like the main debt we see people have issues with would be council tax arrears. That's the most common debt type, but we can deal with anything from utility debts, rent and mortgage arrears, consumer debts such as credit cards, loans, all these sort of things. We look at the whole situation when somebody's in debt. And that's, to be honest, is just really scratching the surface. With the debt situation, it's a very involved process, and we treat it holistically, and we look at it as a whole to ensure that the client is getting the best advice possible.
So that's really a huge variety of issues that you've just mentioned there. So is it mostly just debt, benefits and other money issues, or is there even more?
Yeah, that's a great point. As you know, at Citizens Advice, as I just said previously, we use something called the holistic approach. So what that means is the holistic approach takes into account a person's entire situation and quite often goes beyond what's on the surface. We often find that people come to us with one issue, but as we discuss this with them, we uncover that there's a few more related issues that we can help with, such as debt or housing or employment advice. As you know, I'm sure from your own experience, all of the issues we experience in daily life are so complex and deeply connected. If you have little money, maybe work does not pay well, or you lost your job recently, well, then you're likely to struggle to pay for things and cover your energy or housing costs. And this, of course, impacts on your housing situation, and there may be issues arising from that down the line, or it could put a strain on your personal relationships, your mental health, your physical health. So what we do is always about trying to look at the full picture to make sure that we're not missing any things that we can give advice on, and to make sure you get the right help at the right time.
I think what you said is very true. Problems never really do appear alone, do they? There's always something else that comes along with it. It's really encouraging, though, to know that there are people out there like the Money Talk team at Citizens Advice who genuinely care and want to listen.
Absolutely. I mean, most of what we really do is listen. The key is to ask the right questions to make sure that we can get to the right information. But sometimes it's just about being able to share that load with someone, isn't it? In one of our most recent Money Talk team reports, the client outcomes research shows just how much impact listening to people and helping them with the issues has to their overall well-being. 57% of clients surveyed told us their peace of mind improved after speaking with an advisor. 45% said their mental health improved, and 42% said their physical health improved. That's a massive impact.
Wow, that's really incredible and really surprising that just the act of speaking to someone can have such an incredible impact on you.
Yeah, definitely. It's really significant, and that's why I really encourage people to reach out and contact us.
Speaking of reaching out, I imagine that many of our listeners are now thinking about doing so. So, what would you say to the listeners at home who want to reach out but might be feeling a bit worried or not sure what to expect from an advice session? What can they expect?
Yeah, that's a great question. Many people tell us they were hesitant in approaching at first, but feel so much better once they've done so. Typically, you would contact your bureau through your chosen channel, and we can talk about what these are later. Once you have an appointment booked, the advisor will start by listening to you and assessing your situation. We'll also usually ask you some basic questions about yourself and then follow up with more specific questions to enable you and us to better understand your issue or issues. For this, it's normally helpful to have some information to hand around things such as your housing situation, such as, for example, who your landlord is, your costs, your outgoings, such as childcare, what your household income is, and whether you have savings or are claiming any benefits. If you live with a partner and you live together, we'll ask you about their information too in order to give best advice as a household. And remember, you never have to answer any questions, but doing so will enable us to give you the most accurate advice. It's also okay if you don't know any of this information, we can help you figure it out. Once we've done the initial assessment, we may then help you check your finances. We can offer benefit checks to make sure you're getting everything you're entitled to. This may be benefits or actually maybe other support. We'll also assess your current outgoings to ensure you're not paying more than necessary for things like council tax or debt repayments. And we can also take a closer look at any debts you may have. And I suppose the aim of this session is to find out more about your individual circumstances so that we can offer you tailored advice and we can clearly outline what options are available to you. We can help you create a plan for your next steps and give support when you need it. This may include help with benefit applications, drafting letters for creditors, or calling someone on your behalf. We may not always have the time in one appointment to deal with everything, especially if there are many things that need attention. And if that should be the case, what we'll do is we'll discuss options with you and help you prioritize and create a plan. And what I should add is we go at the client pace. It's a client-led service. So if everything is too much for the client to discuss in one sitting, then we would split it up into manageable chunks. And afterwards, once the session's done, we might share some additional help materials with you or arrange a follow-up session, or we can even refer you to other services you may need.
Thank you. That's really helpful to know, and I'm sure that this provides a great deal of reassurance for those listeners at home who might be thinking of getting in touch. Could you tell us how our listeners might get in touch with us?
If you're a listener at home and want to contact us, you can do this in a variety of ways. You can call your local bureau at 0800 028 1456, and 24/7 self-support is available on the Money Talk Team website at www.moneytalkteam.org.uk. There you'll find Cassie the chatbot, which allows you to select from a range of common issues or type in an issue, and Cassie will direct you to useful links on the web. And if Cassie is unable to provide useful information, you can ask the bot to email a script of your conversation to your local bureau. We also have other self-help tools such as our Money Map tool, our council tax tool, and useful links to the Citizens Advice web pages on the website. For clients local to Ross and Cromarty, our Citizens Advice has offices in Allness, Dingwall and Tain. We have staff and volunteer available from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We can offer appointments in any of these offices at a time to suit the client. We can also be contacted by phone and we can deal with inquiries that way, should that be preferable, on 01349 883333, or we can be emailed at advisor.allnesscab.casonline.org.uk. And many bureaux also have Money Talk Team advisors based at outreaches and community settings. That can be places such as health centres, libraries or food banks. So you can find us out there in the community. Our advisors quite often attend community events with, for example, housing associations, local council, warm spaces, to name a few. So yeah, if you see us out there, please come over and have a chat with us.
Thanks, Chris. Well, I think that wraps things up for today. That was a really interesting conversation. It's always so useful to get more insight into where people can find help, and that seeking help might have a significant positive impact on your overall well-being. I would like to highlight the Money Talk Team website, which is www.moneytalkteam.org.uk, which features links to the self-help tools that we've just mentioned, the chatbot, the money map tool, and the council tax reduction tool. You can call your local bureau by using the central number, which is 0800 028 1456. Again, Chris, thanks so much for joining me, and to all of our listeners, as always, thank you so much for listening.